What's up, guys? Welcome back to Blood, Sweat, and Gear with coaches Skip Hill, Andrew Barry, and myself, Scott McNally. All of our programming is brought to you by TrueNutrition.com. Use our code THINK over there for additional savings on high-quality, third-party tested supplements, some of the purest, cleanest, one of the most transparent companies that is out there today. Check out True Nutrition. And of course, we're brought to you by supplementsource.ca for Canadians. They've got great deals that change week to week. Thank you to everybody from Patreon. We got some Patreon stuff lined up today and a Patreon Physique Critique. Before we get into that, Andrew, you were out at Tampa Pro. I mean, that was kind of in your backyard, but you're going to do some traveling this weekend. You're heading to Dallas too. But what was going on at Tampa? Did you get to meet any listeners? And how did everything go, man?
I'm going to tell you, if I met listeners, I have to apologize. It is a whirlwind. And we actually, even though we only live 25 minutes away, we stayed at the host hotel from Wednesday through Sunday just because to go back and forth. And I had 5 athletes in the show. And,
nice.
It was just a busy weekend. Let me start off by saying I made a major mistake. One that just wasn't good. You know how you tell your athletes, when you hear about like coaches, like their athlete missed their class and you're like, oh, what an idiot. You know, how did he not have her on stage, you know? Well, so this is the first time I've ever seen them move wellness to like right after bodybuilding in the amateurs. And typically wellness is right before bikini or it's toward the end of the show. Show started at 8 o'clock and I told my wellness girl, first timer too, be backstage ready to go at 8:30. You know, have your drink in hand, all the stuff, the preparation stuff that we have, and just be ready at 8:30. Yeah. So, and I was like, I'm going to get there right at 8:30 because I'm upstairs looking at my pros because I had four pros that were going on right after that. Okay. And I come down, it's 8:30, and she's standing there, and I'm kind of looking around. I'm like, where's the other girls with big glutes? I don't see any. Like, what's going on? Oh. So I go to the expediter, and I'm like, yo, how long do you think till the wellness girls need to start warming up? And he's like, well, they were done 15 minutes ago. And I'm like, is one of those like hit you in the face. I'm like, oh my God. Now, luckily, there was like 7 girls that were in that situation because, they had hair and makeup appointments and stuff. And typically you don't need to be ready right at 8 o'clock when an amateur show starts because wellness goes later.
Did they change the? They
did something weird. Yeah.
Okay.
So they did something weird and they're like, well, we told people to schedule events at the athlete meeting at 7:30. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to the athletes meeting when I'm running up and down, taking elevators back and forth to people's rooms to look at them, Yeah. So anyway, they did let all the girls walk at night and they actually did a rejudge, which was nice. So.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, but because of that, when I make a mistake, I'm going to do everything I can to make it right. I told her, hey, I want you to have the full experience. There's another show on Saturday. I'll be there for you. So it's here in Florida. So I'm gonna go to an amateur show on Saturday. This is after. Now tomorrow I got to catch a plane to go to Texas.
I was gonna say, you're going to Dallas.
Yeah, going to the Texas Pro to peak a first time figure pro getting on stage for her pro debut. I'm going to make it through prejudging for that one and then catch a flight back to Orlando for the amateurs that the mistake I made, put it that way. But no, Tampa Pro was good, dude. I had my master's guy, Brandon Alexander, got second place in the 40 plus. He looked excellent. His best look by far. He was up, I think, 8 or 9 pounds from when he turned pro at North Americans last year in the same condition. And then on Saturday, I had a wellness amateur and then 2 pro bikini. My figure pro in her pro debut got 4th place, which was excellent. And then Brandon also did the open pro, open bodybuilding. So to say it was a lot of lack of sleep, lack of meals, I think I lost about 8 or 9 pounds. If I look like I aged like 7 or 8 years, it's because
that's why
like I did. Yeah, I mean,
I saw you brought your dog with you too.
Yeah, he goes with us everywhere. He is a service animal with an asterisk, and he goes with us everywhere we go. So he was backstage with me and kind of hangs on my side the whole time. So
I'm in full support of that. You're getting more eccentric like Skip as you age, and I am totally down with it.
Yeah. So to anyone that did see me, I hope I waved back to you. I was in the zone just focusing on athletes all weekend like we do when we're at shows and stuff. So
Well, hey, at this show, there is one person you have to meet, and I told him to look for you, and that is our very own UC Suma. Matt Marshall will be doing his second show of the season there. He's already there, too. Him and Kate D'Annunzio both flew out. They've been training at the gyms, going to Destination Dallas. They said like 24 of the 26 open bodybuilders were there at Destination yesterday. It's looking freaking incredible, man. He saw Jordan there and said everybody's looking, lights out. So, dude, this is going to be a massive, like if Tampa was big, this is going to be a massive show.
Tampa was good. The first call out was excellent. Jordan Hutchinson.
Yeah.
In my mind, I thought he won both prejudging and finals. Some people thought Samson looked a little bit better at times. Samson's got all. I'm sorry, Quentin. I'm going to my next point.
Yeah, okay.
Quentin's got a better shape and structure than Samson does. So if he has the ability to put on the tissue, you might be looking at a Mr. Olympia. Just he needs to put on like another 20 pounds like Samson did a couple years ago, and he might be that guy because his waist is just non-existent for an open pro.
And now, so the listeners were telling us too in the comments that he did, and it's just bodybuilding this week, that he did his own prep too. Like he did his own diet, did his own peak, he nailed it.
Sounds like it, yeah. I was watching some of his YouTube videos, and I thought, man, I think this guy's out of shape. And I'm always happy to say when I'm wrong, because we just want to see the best bodybuilders on stage, right? We want to see everyone peaked, looking 100%. And I was just looking at some stuff going into the show, and I'm like, I think he's behind. I don't think he's there yet. But no, he was in shape, and it was a very close show between the two of them. I definitely agree with the judging decision, but the cool thing is we get to see a rematch this weekend. So
yeah, it's going to be incredible. Hey, speaking of being wrong, I think we got some bad intel. We had like the worst picture of Joe that we could have had in that show in our last episode. So he looked absolutely incredible on stage. Like we watched that on It's Just Bodybuilding this week. That posing routine. Posing was incredible. Condition was incredible. The dude is absolutely massive, and he nailed it. So, yeah.
That's another one where I'm happy to say we were wrong with our projections because, again, we just want to see – like we don't have any dog in the fight. We don't wish any malice towards anyone. We just want to see the best bodybuilders in the best quality show possible. And honestly, he probably stole the show in terms of – I'm not going to say newcomer because it wasn't his first show, but – everybody was talking about him, and everybody was talking about how, man, this guy could be second or even first if he had maybe just a slightly different structure from the front. His side shots, lights out, smoked everybody. His rear double, people were walking around being like, is this the best back in bodybuilding? Yeah. And he was dialed in. I think he's coached by Justin Compton, and they did a great job. Excellent job.
He looked incredible. So this upcoming weekend, though, man, I am freaking pumped. I'm excited for Matt. I'm excited for him to get to do this. So we're in that position. I showed you his picture this morning, Andrew. He's just like, we're not doing anything different. I don't think there's any reason to change anything. You know what I mean? It's like we can ride that in all day long. Also, too, yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the picture you sent me. His skin is thin, like paper thin. So he's in a great condition.
I wanted to give a shout out too to IFBB Pro Jason Lowe. He listens to the podcasts. I've got I pulled up one of his videos. So he was at Tampa, and now he is going to be at the show this weekend. And this is his posing routine from last weekend. You guys realize too, he was a men's physique competitor initially, and then he's like, "Yeah, I think I'm going to move up to classic." And he's like, I think I'm going to move up to 212. And he had Rabdo last year talking to him at the Olympia, man. So he's
got the kind of arms. He's got the kind of arms I can only dream of.
Oh, yeah, right? He always had those arms, too, I think. He's one of those guys who probably had, like, crazy arms since he was a teenager. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he looked great.
Yeah. So shout out to him. Here's that. Look at the arms in this shot. Like it almost looks like photoshopped or something, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's like the night after the show the day after the show I had a burger and fries and an ice cream and I went in to train just to see what I look like and those things are full blown.
Yeah. Incredible. So anyway,
you're also flying got I was going to say we also have another listener, Mike Von Rotz, is making his pro debut out of Maine. So
okay,
that should be cool to see.
Hell yeah, that'll be awesome. Shout out to him, and shout out to everybody else. So any of our listeners and stuff who are making it out there, look for Andrew, pester him, bother him. He'll be there at least through prejudging, and then you got to fly home to do the girls' local.
I'm
show
only there
on
through prejudging on Friday.
Yeah.
So, because it's a 2-day show, right? So I'm going to be able to watch Classic, 212, and Figure, and then I think Wellness also. I'm not going to get to see Open, unfortunately, because I got to fly back out to Orlando.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, we do have a bunch of stuff. I know we had another Physique Critique. We had a bunch of questions. I guess I could jump straight into that critique. All right. So Jake says this. He says, hey, Scott. Just wanted to say again how much I love the shows. They've certainly become my daily staple in prep. Current physique shots, and here's some details. So he's 24 years old, 228 pounds, 5'11". He's in classic physique. That's his main goal. He's also going to do open at the state show for fun. He's 5.5 weeks out from show 1. Current cycle, he says, can include if you like. It says 300 milligrams of test E per week, 700 milligrams of mast E per week, 70 milligrams of Tren Ace per week, and 20 milligrams of Winstrol every day. No GH because I'm trying to make weight, LOL. He's also on 2 milligrams of Retta per week, 60 micrograms of Clen every day, 25 T3 every day, 125 T4 every day, 5 milligrams of yohimbine, and 400 micrograms of SLUPP332. He's been training since he was 14. Let's see. Anything else we need to go into? I think that about covers it. Let me bring these pictures up.
Pretty mild.
Yeah, overall for his cycle. Yeah, I'd agree with you, man. Check this guy out, too. He looks pretty good. All right. So here's a front shot. He looks like good conditioning for 5 weeks out, right?
Yeah, what show is he doing?
He didn't say state level show.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It's the first show.
He'll do well.
Yeah, he says first show is the state level show. So I'm assuming that means he's going to do, I think he's Australia, actually.
Okay. Oh, you know what? Because they're starting their, I think they call it season B.
Okay.
Like, you know, over here, I was just on a call with one of my Australian clients last night who coaches a lot of people himself, and he always says like season A, season B, and I'm like, what does that even mean? And he explained it to me. Like over here, we've got in the United States, there could be 10 different shows going on around the country, or more even. You know, sometimes there's 2 shows in Florida on the same day.
Yeah.
Whereas over there, all their shows they start like 3 weeks out before their nationals. So you have like your local show, then you have like your regionals, and then you have like your national pro qualifier shows. And I always say this, it's really hard in other countries to turn pro because like in Australia, like one guy gets an open pro card, I think per season. So I think it's like two open pro cards per year. And then there might be a few more classic pro cards, but it's like, you know, over here, you feel like someone else turned pro every other weekend, it feels like, you know?
Yeah.
Which is a whole discussion on its own. But yeah, he looks really good. I like that front double.
Yeah. I think he's going to be great for classic, especially. The conditioning is looking on point. What would be any critiques that we have for him?
Can you keep going through the pictures?
Yep.
I wouldn't use that for your lat spread. I wouldn't do the leg flare on the lat spread necessarily.
What would you do? Legs more together? Like
I would do straight on this one, yeah. I'd like to see how that looks. The only thing is his legs might overpower his upper body.
Which is exactly what I was thinking.
Oh, sorry to steal it.
I was like, I don't know. Maybe that's why he's got his leg kicked out.
I would just tweak posing a little bit. I think he can make himself look more muscular here by see how we don't see the back shoulder much.
Okay.
You can tell he's got a nice pec, nice set of pecs. Yeah. And he doesn't even need to rotate his body. It's really just he needs to push that left shoulder
Oh,
forward
yeah.
a little bit, and we're going to see that back pec really balloon up, and we're going to see the silhouette of the front and side delts, and it's going to make him appear like he's much more wider up top compared to his waist.
Yeah.
So just like, nitpicky little tweaks to his posing, but yeah, keep going.
I feel like that's a standout shot for him, that rear double.
I agree. In classic, that's going to be really good.
Yeah.
I would say don't let your glutes get any bigger, though.
Yeah. Yeah, he's an example of a guy. He's probably one of those guys like, oh, I never did glutes. I just, squatted. He's probably that guy, I was the opposite.
As Theo Vaughn would say, he got that thing on him.
Pretty balanced. There's no glaring weakness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that shot a lot.
You can get a little bit wider in his front and rear relaxed with how where he's positioned in his elbows.
Okay.
I think you can open up just a little bit more. I always tell, own your space. You know what I mean? Like at the Olympia where you see guys kind of like crowding into each other to try to, maybe take some of their space.
Yeah.
Go into that mindset so that whole square is yours and no one's going to be crouching in on you. Now, this can backfire and next thing you know, the arms are way out to the side and they're not, you're riding the Harley or you're riding the chopper or something. But I think he can open up a little bit more and it's going to bring his lats out a little bit more and balance out compared to those quads.
Okay.
But solid physique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell him, let's send us some pictures when you're like a couple days out. I want to see what that
he's
looks
gonna
like.
be lights out nuts.
Yeah, is it 5.5 weeks?
Of the first show.
Yeah.
So that means he's doing another one, know? Yeah. He looks good.
I agree.
He looks good. A couple nice, really, really nice classic shots in here too.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great
good one.
pose on him. I like that.
Agreed.
Yeah, and it does have a very classic look. I could imagine if he just has I'm just looking at this pose here, he's going to obviously continue growing, or maybe not. He said he needed to not use growth so he could make weight. But I'm just thinking what would that look like with 5 more pounds up top? It's just going to get more dramatic the more muscle he puts on.
Well, that's the thing with classic, right? Because you might barely make weight 5 years in a row or 4 years in a row, right?
Yeah.
But you just find that you get more and more conditioned, right?
Yeah.
Because he's not going to have a balloon up off season if he's already at cap, but he's going to stay in better shape and he's going to focus on quality tissue. And then every year he gets into shape for his contest, he's going to still make weight, but he's just going to be a little bit sharper every time. Or he's going to have to dry out just a little bit more just to make weight before filling back out.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy, if you're listening, which you probably are, that could be an option for you too then, man. Look at it that way. He made weight at 194, but it took everything we had to get him to make weight. And he really doesn't have room to add, another 10 pounds. But hey, I'll tell you what, my first show, I was 178 middleweight. My second show, I was 172 middleweight, dramatically leaner, number one, but I was bigger, much, much bigger too. And I realized, oh God, I have a lot more room that I could grow here still, in this division. That was the last time I did middleweight, but after that I went to light heavy.
Honestly, the scale is like the scale weight. When someone's like, oh, I'm up 5 pounds scale weight, but you can't really see it, versus someone who nailed the same weight they have the previous 2 years, but you can see a dramatic improvement, like the lats got wider, the shoulders are more capped. So there's a lot more than just the number on the paper in terms of development,
Yeah.
Because like I said, he'll probably end up being, let's say his cap is 192 or something like that.
Yeah.
He might be 192 on stage for the next 3 years because it doesn't make he can't go unless he somehow magically grows another inch. That's the beauty of classic though. It really forces you to think about how you're gaining weight and how you're gaining muscle.
Yeah. Or you just put on 20 pounds over the next 2 years and then you do open bodybuilding. There's that.
His cycle
All right.
sounded good.
Yeah. He really, like you said, Skip, he really wasn't using a lot, was he?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what else we had here. Oh, by the way, too, I could probably find these to pull them up. It was fascinating talking to somebody about seeing some GH testing. And there are some brand name GH products that have been tested recently that are coming back at lower purity than what we're seeing in some of the generics. And that would it blows my mind a little bit, to a degree. I remember William Llewellyn doing the Underground Anabolics Guide back in, I think, 2010. Mm-hmm. And I remember him testing out hydrotropin as being more pure than one of the pharmas, And I know that, the makers of hydrotropin say that it's used in Chinese hospitals, and I don't buy that for a minute. I'm sorry. Maybe it is, but it's I see it more as being for bodybuilders, hydrotropin, than being like it's just the way I see it. But that's Well,
I was going to say that Ansimone from a couple of years ago, that one was being used in medical institutions, I believe in China, if I'm not mistaken. So
okay.
And it's an underground. In our sense, it's an underground. It's not a Pfizer. It's not a So.
It's not one of the big brands, but they were seeing this. And anyway, I saw some reports though of we're talking like 85% for some name brand legit pharma stuff that was being tested through Genoshic.
That's disconcerting.
Yep.
But I also wonder though, where do they get that farm grade stuff from? Was it direct from the pharmacy? Was it direct from someone who was prescribed it versus... Because the counterfeiters aren't counterfeiting, Blacktop brand or whatever, Red Tops. They're not counterfeiting that. They're counterfeiting Serostim, Norditropin. And I've bought plenty of stuff that was not, when you start to really look at the packaging and labels, you're like, oh, I got burned, Now, I'm not saying there's not growth hormone in there, but it's not the growth hormone produced by Pfizer or EMD Serrano or one of these other companies. I know someone that does their own GH.
Okay.
And I want to talk him into not coming on the show because that would just be stupid. But me and Phil Viz were having a conversation about this because he believes all the generics are just garbage and he thinks they're fake. And I'm like, dude, I've changed my mind. I used to be Serostim or bust, or Norditropin or bust.
Yeah.
I think the protein sequences, the peptide sequencing, the way people are doing it today is at least or almost as good as what pharmaceutical companies are doing. And I keep remembering the 60 Minutes special I watched maybe 15 years ago on the efficacy violations of pharmaceutical companies, like where Lipitor's ending up in a diabetes medication, or from cross contamination to poor purity results. This was a 60 Minutes special where they talked about where these companies were failing in terms of label claims and whatnot. So, just because it's made by a big pharmacy company doesn't mean it's free from faults. I mean, human beings are operating the machines at the end of the day.
Okay, so here's what it was. It wasn't that huge of a discrepancy. I don't want to pull them up. I don't think there's anything on here that's identifying, but he told me I could use them, but make sure there's nothing. I don't want to make sure. I want to make sure I'm not missing his name somewhere and I'm not seeing it. Omnitrope, 15 milligrams, tested out to be purity of a 95.7% with 13.39 milligrams in it.
Really?
So slightly underdosed. And then in Norditropin, 15 milligram pen being tested out at 93.8% pure with 14.1 milligrams in it. So
someone's got some splaining to do.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was really fascinating. And then there's one generic that he was getting tested. It's 15 IUs, and it tested out to be, where was the purity on this one? I can't see it offhand. Shoot, I don't see where it's written on this. The format's a little bit different, but from what I recalled looking at it before, it was super clean, like it beats them out. So
yeah, I mean, I'm seeing 99.7%, 99.8% and overdose. Instead of 15 milligrams, it's 15.4. So,
Yeah, so I spoke to Keith from Parabolic about this, and I asked, well, what's the difference between, some of the made in China versus, some other products that are available at these places? And he said the main issue he's seeing is some of the made in China stuff is actually overdosed in a dangerous way at times. He said he's seeing them being not dosed correctly, and at times you might be getting more, which it might not be that big of a deal, you know, if it's growth hormone, but if it's like semaglutide or T3, you know, anything that would be like, you know, I don't want to accidentally take twice as much semaglutide. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we all know someone who had massively overdosed clenbuterol, and they take what they think is say 60 micrograms, and they go to the gym and they just cramp up nonstop, and they're having heart palpitations and stuff. So yeah, I mean, some things you do not want overdosed.
Yeah. Yeah, I accidentally overdosed Clen once, but that was honestly my fault. It was a mistake I shouldn't have made. Did you do that before, Skip?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all have.
Well, technically that one wasn't my fault. It was Ready Cat. You guys remember Ready Cat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
With the big masking tape blotter thingies. I don't know. They were all taped together, and it was mislabeled. It was 200 microgram Clen with a milligram of ketotifen.
Okay.
So it was labeled as Anavar.
Ooh.
So I
Ouch.
took, I don't know, a couple of them. I can't remember.
Thinking they were VAR.
Well, and here's the odd thing was I was borderline tachycardia, but falling asleep from the ketotifen.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't keep like in the car. And I'm like, something's not right. Like, I don't know what's going on. Could barely keep my eyes open. But I had a heart rate of like, a resting heart rate of like 170, low 170s.
Yeah.
So, you know me, I was young. I'm like, well, I'm getting lean. I don't give a shit. No. I was actually very concerned because I knew that there was such a contrast between my heart rate being so elevated and then couldn't keep my eyes open.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, it wasn't good. It didn't take me long to figure it out. And he was very like, oh my God. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So he sent me more shit, and it was right. It was the only time I ever had a problem with the guy or anything that I had gotten from him, because back in the early days, I just didn't have the money. I had young kids, and I wasn't going to, Daddy has to have his gear. I'm sorry that you're going to have ramen noodles for dinner for the next 7 days, that type of thing. And was just starting the business. So everything was going on at the same time. And early 2000s, I want to say it was 2002, getting ready for the Northern Colorado, because it was the following year that I competed against Phil at the Colorado State. Yeah, because in 2003, he showed up to the Northern Colorado. Everybody was talking about him. They're like, oh, man, it's going to be wicked seeing you go up against Phil. And I'm looking at Phil, and I'm like, I know what I look like. There ain't going to be no battle between him and me. Like, what are you talking about? So it was kind of an odd thing. That's when Phil came on the scene, 2003.
Yeah. Guys, bodybuilding is really expensive. And if you're ever going to run that GH you want to run, you're going to have to put together a budget. So check out TrueNutrition.com. Not only are they a supplement retailer, they're also a manufacturer. They create a lot of the product lines for companies that you are very well aware of. So literally, we're going to cut out the middleman, go straight to True Nutrition, get some deals, and you'll be on that growth before you know it. I don't know if they're going to like this promotion, but I feel like this is your vibe. I think you guys will get it. Use our code THINK over there. Obviously, that helps to support us, gives you a little more savings, and helps us to put these shows out. So thanks, guys. Let's get back to the show. All right, we've got a bunch of listener questions. I'm just going to jump right in. And by the way, guys, if you want to leave comments, comment with questions for the next show. We'd be happy to take them. And if you're new here, we've got several shows that come out each week. We'd love to have you along for all of them. Hit the subscribe, hit the bell. Big fan of the show. I have a question that I'd love to get an answer on. Can a compound in DMSO be absorbed through the skin? Can I apply a compound in DMSO to the muscle I'm training to get benefits, or would it just go, or would just using it or do I need to just use it sublingual? Please answer. I'm on 750 test, 500 EQ, 200 tren E, along with 3 IUs of GH before bed and 10 IUs fast-acting insulin pre-workout injected into the muscle group that I'm training to get better results.
I got to try to show off my brain here for a minute, Andrew.
All right.
Go for it.
But I need you to correct me if I'm wrong, because there's one subtle nuance that I might be off in. And I'm asking. I'm not pretending that I know. But I remember back in the day, and I don't remember much, but I'm really good with numbers. Either the compound has to have a lower molecular weight than 400 to go transdermal, or the DMSO takes, I mean, obviously it's the vehicle that helps take it transdermal, but if I remember correctly, I think the compound has to be less than 4. I know it's 400 molecular weight, but it's the compound, not the DMSO. The DMSO won't take anything transdermal. It has to be less than a specific molecular weight, correct?
That sounds right. I mean,
Yeah,
that's one of those things where, have you put anything DMSO on your body in 20 years?
Well, I know that when you're using DMSO, you need to be, it's the same with testosterone cream. You need to make sure that you don't have deodorant on your arm, toothpaste, soap, different things. The skin has to be clean. But I'm pretty sure, and I'm not questioning the molecular weight of 400. What I'm questioning is whether the compound, if the molecular weight is not below that, it won't take it transdermal through. The DMSO won't take it through. Because remember, there was flow gel too. We didn't like the smell of that. That made you smile. I saw that. You're like, I remember that. That's back in the day. We're going back. That was a nostalgic moment. But the flow gel didn't stink. Yeah. Where the DMSO was like, yeah, this is not cool.
Everyone knows you're wearing it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Why is it that that was a thing back then? It really was like that. There was all sorts of talk on the boards about transdermals, and people were getting pro hormones and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to do a transdermal application of this, whatever." Anyway, I wonder if the guys who were our ages at that time were looking at us the way we look at some of the younger guys that are trying to do things that are like quote unquote stupid. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, was there
but
that?
We also didn't have that academia or really,
resource.
There was information from the message boards, but there wasn't information from at least I don't remember it, from studies and all this. I mean, we've gained so much information. That's why it's so exciting, really, when you think about all the things that have become available in the industry. Now, I mean, I'm focusing on the industry just because we're focused on the industry. Yeah, there's tons of information in every industry, but if you see that and what has played out in the access to information that we have gained in just the last 10 to 15 years, what's the next 20 years going to look like? Or the next 40 years? It's just crazy. I mean, it's like we're going to get to the point where in 30 years, we're going to know exactly how many sets we have to do. Exactly the amount of gear that needs to be taken, the exact amount of sleep to formulate this optimal black and white package. It's like we wouldn't even have jobs in 40 years doing what we're doing, because it would be like, follow this blueprint, and it's just all laid out specific to your
to you.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where AI is going to come in, I think.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
You put in biometrics and some data, and I'm wondering if in the future we're going to have the equivalent of a 3D printer that you step into that amplifies muscle response or growth, in the muscle tissue. So in the same idea that you can 3D print something, you can 3D print muscle.
Yeah. What are we going to know about things like myostatin, or the things that we don't know about why we respond to GH, and whether IGF levels are directly related to whether you respond to it or not? I've always said I don't think that it stops at the IGF level. There's far more to it that we don't know about. Otherwise, just the simple argument of, well, then why would there be much difference between farm grade and generics if generics are raising your IGF levels the same? I mean, obviously you have the argument of purity and everything else. We have all these arguments, but I think there's more there underneath the surface that we just don't know about, and we can only argue about what we know about.
Yeah.
I think we've kind of crossed a threshold, though. I think we've peaked, because what I see now is a lot of the younger generation is trying to find a way to cut corners. And obviously we would, if someone were to say, hey, you can cut 5 years off your career or put on 5 years of muscle in a year, we all would have done a backflip and figured out how to do it. Sure. But I think back then, at least, and I know I'm going to sound like, old curmudgeon, but we never tried to escape the intensity or the hard work aspect of it. If you know what I'm saying?
Completely agree. But I'd even argue that this generation doesn't really like the journey.
That's where I'm going. That's exactly where I'm going.
Okay.
That's exactly where I'm going. Like the amount of knowledge we gained from being mediocre bodybuilders that just had a passion for something far surpassed, I would say, like a guy who turns pro at 23 and goes to the Olympia, by 30, and you know what I'm saying. The knowledge we gained and all the pitfalls and all the roadblocks we had to bust through, and what I see it now is like I see like these videos where these guys are making training videos, and there's no intensity,
none.
It's like your reps are crystal clear, perfect, but the intensity is like at a 2, and so I'm wondering if that's what's lacking. So as we're getting these developments, as we're getting technology, as we're getting academia and all these things, all these tools that we didn't have access to 20, 15, 10 years ago, I'm just wondering, I'm trying to think, is the journey like is the journey the thing that gives you the appreciation and the satisfaction of it? Even if you don't reach the goal, which, okay, we all start out the goal is the Olympia. Well, after 1 or 2 shows, you realize, okay, I'm not going there. But you have something in your mind's eye of like what I can get to,
I think the journey is a big part of it, Andrew, because I've worked with people that are far, far more gifted than I ever was. And I've worked with people who are even better than them. And sometimes the people who have never had to fight for it, and I'm not going to say they were handed it, because there are people who put in hard work to get where they got, but they just rose to the top no matter what they did.
Right.
Those people, most of the time, they didn't have the heart for it when it did get tough. You know what I mean? Or not only that, but they just didn't. I just feel like there was a lack of appreciation. Like, man, I'd do anything to get a pro card at one point, anything. You tell me, like, well, Scott, you can't sleep but 2 hours every night for the next, 16 weeks. I'd be like, if I can get the pro card, obviously that's not the way it works, but I would do it, and some of these guys are just like, but I want to go on vacation.
Am I not the poster child for this? I mean, really, when you break it down, I mean, really, I've been doing this for 41 years. I am mediocre, and yet I can't explain, like, explaining or defining passion is ineffable to someone who doesn't have it. So if it comes easy, and I'd even argue that the next generation is bigger because they aren't training as hard. I swear to you.
We kind of talked about that with the Nick Walker up.
I look at it. I look at it and go, I'm old school. I understand that, we have it programmed in our brain that we need to force this adaptation. What if the adaptation is so much easier? What if I had been sitting here spinning my wheels, training my ass off, right along with a lot of other people too,
all of us,
and not recovering well enough, maybe recovering at 20% of what I could have been recovering. Now, that doesn't mean that it would put me on an Olympia stage tomorrow. But then you have to factor in the injuries. You have to factor in the CNS. You did the beating down of your body for all those years. Point is that me being mediocre and continuing to chase it and being as dedicated, even though I said before the ROI is not there, it took me 41 years to figure out that it's not there anymore. I mean, fuck. Sorry,
yes,
that's not going
to. You are the poster child for it. That's what we love about you. It really is, man.
But then I get the questions. I get this one cat who trolls the F out of me, and unfortunately, this one did get me. So if he's listening, he wins this one. But my wife and my kids had T-shirts that said Team Skip, had a collage of all the years, because of the finality and everything, closure, if you will. And had all these pictures on it. I didn't notice at first. So I talked about when I went over the competition and how I felt about the competition and the prep and everything else, that my daughter came in backstage when I came off stage. I was backstage. She came in and I was at eye level because I was sitting down and I saw like the T-shirt was, even though I had seen the T-shirts, it was in my face. And I saw that it was a collage over the years. I hadn't put that together. And there comes the cathartic moment. And it just made me, and it made me upset emotionally. And I looked up at her and I said, please understand that I'm not emotional because I'm not going to make the top 5. I'm upset because it's done. And then I realized, it's kind of funny. I realized, oh shit, I better pull myself together. Everybody's going to think I'm, emotional because I just got my ass smoked.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, right.
And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm good. I'm getting the hell out of here. and because, you think of those things and you'd never want anybody to think that and misunderstand the situation. This cat comes to me and he posts 3 or 4 times on this video that I just put out Friday saying how much of a loser I should have felt because my family, and brought my family into it. Your kids and your wife are wearing, a shirt with your pictures all over it, and you get your ass kicked, and you're taking 20 IU of GH every day, and your physique sucks, that sort of thing. And it was just like, God.
Let me address that. What does it say about someone who's saying that, who doesn't have a support system there to watch someone do something passionate that they love, that they're versus question. You can walk out that door, hang your trunks up, and say, you know what, I've got the support system here for the rest of my life, no matter what. So,
no question. And it's easy for me to process that part of it. But then when you have somebody that comes after, it involves, while they're trying to beat you down, they pull in your kids and your wife. It's like, what kind of a piece of shit can you really be, and how miserable is your life?
I would be like, thank you for highlighting the real important things in my life that were there with me for this moment. Thank you. Yeah,
and it took me a minute, and that's what I came to. But boy, that first initial, you want to be, it's like, I just wish that person was 6 inches on the other side of that screen, and I would be going through that screen after you. But that's, and understandably, it's a trigger. He's doing it on purpose, trying to get a rise out of me. Yeah. So I just got rid of the comments. I'm like, I'm not even gonna address that. When 99.9%, the rest, literally the rest, he was like the only one. Everybody was very supportive and understood, and it was cool. But God, those things can hit you. You bring their family into it. Oh shit, that's rough. What am I doing? I'm trying to fight father time. That's all I'm doing. 55 years old. I love what I do. I understand the reality that this didn't go very well. you telling me is really not helping here a whole lot.
It's just rubbing it in because and, people just wait for you to, the minute you have a weak moment, so they can be like, see.
It's like he'd been standing there on the sidelines cheering against me the whole time, hoping that I failed. And when I did, he was there to take advantage of it.
Yeah, but it sounds like he's acting like you weren't going around saying for the last 10 years, I suck as a bodybuilder. I'm doing something that I love.
Right.
It'd be one thing if you were cocky.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm going for that pro card. It's a done deal. I'm looking good. Never once have you said anything to that effect. You've always been very self-depreciating about the physique, but not about the effort and the discipline and the passion for it. And that just says more about that guy than it does about you. So,
yeah, 100% it does,
still
man.
A fucker. I still went to Facebook and Instagram trying to find his name. I just got to see what he looks like.
And you know what it is, man. There's always going to be those people out there. There are people who watch the channel who don't like me. And I don't know why, but you know what? Like, I can't help it. You know what I'm saying? It's like... Yeah. It's funny because people will be like, yeah, Scott's a pretty likable guy. I don't know how anybody could give him a thumbs down or whatever. But we get it because there's going to be people who just don't like you. You rub them the wrong way or whatever. And you know that. I'm not telling you anything new.
No, but that's my trigger. I just want everybody to know that if you want to get me, come after my kids or come after my wife family. Because you know what they mean to me. So you have some idea. You don't really know.
You know who it was? No. It was the guy you beat at the Mr. Colorado in 2003.
Oh, sure.
You know what I'm saying? He's just been quietly following you from afar.
Which is a cute little story.
More likely he never competed. You know
I actually did have that happen once, and the guy was trashing me. This is years ago, trashing me really bad on a friend of mine's Facebook page. And I said, oh, you competed in the Colorado in whatever year it was? I went and looked. He took 8th, and I took 3rd. So I came back and I'm like, God, as bad as I am at this sport, and you still couldn't beat me at the 2004 Colorado because you took 8th and I took 4th. So I said, even though I'm not that good, I managed to beat you.
What did you say to
that? Shut him down. There was not another word. In fact, I'll go so far as to say this. I think these days, I am convinced of this, but I can't Remember 100%. We're friends on Facebook, and he's totally fucking cool, and everything is fine.
Yeah.
I'd mention his name, but I don't want to be wrong. Because, I mean, it's cool now. You know, it's one of those things. Because, I'm not going to trash the guy and then mention his name if we're getting along. But I think we're friends now on Facebook.
Yeah.
And we get along fine. He's got a great sense of humor. He's a good dude. He's an older guy like me who's still, banging and clanging, doing what he can to try to stay young. Not a bad physique. I mean, I didn't go after his physique. He came after me. So it is what it is. Sometimes it works out and it's satisfying.
So listen, I didn't know this on that question we had about DMSO. Keith from Parabolic, our podcast affiliate, says DMSO will also carry your body. Will cause your body to absorb any bacteria on your fingers, etc. It can be extremely dangerous, so please wear gloves. It can be very easy to get an infection. I didn't know that because I've never messed with it.
I did know about things like perfume. I knew that was an issue.
Yeah, you mentioned like soap and stuff.
Yep.
Never thought about it. All I thought about is I remember guys used to take the Trend pellets, just grind them up and mix it with DMSO. So you're getting glues and all of that. You did that, Andrew?
My wife said
I started out before I learned how to filter
drink
it.
this alcohol. I could get around. I could just rub this alcohol with DMSO and put it on my arm. Just drink your alcohol.
All right. So we had some more questions. You know what? We've done this before. Rio Matt says, Scott, Andrew, it would be awesome if you could do
Wait. Really?
Yeah, he did.
Really? What a douchebag.
Wait, maybe I misread it.
You
Scott,
didn't.
Andrew, skip.
No, you didn't.
No, it'd be better if you said Scott, Andrew, and then ask the question again.
Yeah, just like, nope, it's just, I read it right.
It would be awesome if you could do an in-depth on a protocol for GH and insulin for maximizing synergy. GH and insulin pre-workout. Didn't we do that?
I think we've done 6 of them.
6 of them, yeah.
And we actually had as expert Scott Stevenson on for one of them. At least one of them,
did.
if not more than one. So I would
It
say
was
go
probably
back.
when I was out, so he didn't hear my opinion, but I'm not giving it.
I'm pretty sure people have heard your opinion on
Yeah,
GH
that's
and
true.
insulin.
That's a good
pretty
point.
sure at this
Think
point.
He's
talked
probably,
about it.
matter of fact, he's probably like, I've heard him talk about it way too much. I really don't care what he says anymore.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, he says he's currently using GH before bed, and my Humalog has been pre-workout. Sickest pumps ever. Is there a better protocol to maximize their synergy?
Let's say no, because he said he's having sick pumps. He's growing. He's liking it. It's working for you. So I would keep doing what you're doing.
I don't know. I think there's a different protocol.
Maybe there is, but
Maybe there is. Maybe Skip knows about it.
But when
you
it's-
probably do, and you're gonna have to pay me for it.
when it stops working for him, you know.
Okay. Thoughts on an off-season cycle? Test plus Primo plus Deca, or test plus Mast plus Deca. Would the DHT compound counteract some of the Deca side effects?
Quite possibly.
I don't know. A little synergy
I don't
in
think
there?
I've ever done a combo like that, to tell you the truth.
I already talked about my tunnel analogy last time.
Your tunnel.
Yeah, the cars, the 2 lanes going through the tunnel,
Oh, yeah.
and how the
that
tunnel
was real
would seem to
good.
get a little smaller. It was a 1-laner there for a few
That was
weeks. It wasn't a 1-laner. It was like when you have construction and the lady or the guy standing there with the stop sign, then she spins it around. She gets on her walkie-talkie. Only one way you can go through. And then she talks on her walkie-talkie, and then they turn it says slow, and then you can go. Yeah, it's just one at a time. You don't have enough room in there for 2 lanes.
You know what I forgot about? I wanted to mention this on the other episode that'll be coming out next. Shortest cycles. Do you guys remember the 21 Sustanons in 21 days cycle?
Oh man! Until you said that,
You remember that? That was like a
I
boards
do
thing.
now. It kind of rings.
So you do
a
an
bell.
amp a
That's
day?
Funny.
You do an amp a day, and
Okay.
and that's because that's what it all was amps. You know, if
Yep.
you're getting sussed back then, so you do an amp a day for
Well, you had the
21
preloads.
days.
I thought
Yeah.
it was preloads, and you had to use the pin that came with it. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
And you would run that, and then you would not take anything because you have all the long ester in there from your 5 grams of gear or whatever. You know?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, I'm going to put that one as probably a no. I'm not going to do that.
You know who Brian Moscow, the Gorilla Chemist, he's into
Yes.
like those heavy front load cycles where you blast a bunch of stuff and then don't, you know, ride it.
I feel like I've seen stuff like, what's his name? Broderick Chavez kind of has some thoughts similar to that, if I'm not mistaken. I've seen some of his stuff.
Okay.
Not how I do things.
Yeah. Let's see. I've tried to ask this a few times, but here's one more. One more try before my surgery. I'm having gyno removed and a belly button hernia repaired at the same time in a couple weeks. I'm not asking for medical advice. So let's say I want to do everything I can to facilitate a speedy recovery. Planning on GH, not sure of the dose yet, BPC and TB. The main thing I'm concerned about is what to do with my GH and test dose. Want to lose as little muscle as possible.
I would bring your testosterone down to cruising levels. You know, you're not going to be putting it to work for you. So, you know, you're not going to be training for at least a month, I would say. You know, with the you said hernia surgery?
Yep.
That one you're not really taking any serious loads for about, 4 weeks because, you got a brace. And
Yeah, it's hard. It was hard not to reach for the Peter Griffin laugh right there.
Why?
Because I've got them all right here on my soundboard.
Do you have one?
Oh, yeah.
Can you give us one right now?
It wouldn't be.
I don't
You
even
said
know.
serious loads.
I could not.
Actually, you said taking serious
Which
loads.
was funny because Scott, it even hit Scott before it hit me. Like I was on a delay.
Thing is that I probably wouldn't have caught it, but I'm in your company right now.
Right, exactly.
You know
Because
what
I thought to
mean?
myself, did he just say?
So you're
serious
saying you're
load?
bringing your thought level down?
No, well, the
Up to Skip's level.
the maturation.
Okay, that's how we're putting it. Okay. All right.
God damn.
Does he want a serious protocol?
I don't know. It's kind of fun.
I would bring your test down to base levels, cruising levels, whatever that is that you use. For your BPC, I would probably, if you really want to recover as fast as possible, I'd go with a 10 milligram bottle a day for probably 10 days and then drop it down to like 2 milligrams a day. I'd probably do the same thing with TB. Might add in GHK copper and into that mix. And then GH, 4 units a day, something like that.
10 milligrams of BPC a day, you're saying, huh? Mm-hmm. Wow. So I know you didn't always used to say that. When did you figure this out? When did you, I'm very curious. Tell me about this evolution.
Well, there appears to be no negative side effects with BPC 157 in particular, right?
Okay.
And seeing some friends that had fairly catastrophic surgeries, like, ruptured quadricep type stuff.
Yeah.
And see them use a protocol similar to that and be able to do leg extensions like 6 weeks later and then have full functionality like 12 weeks later.
Yeah.
And be back in the mix training. That's where it's coming from seeing those dosages for injuries, from injuries that were pretty catastrophic.
And you're saying
wild.
10 milligrams a day?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
because
wild.
that explains to me then why I think BPC is utterly useless at the lower doses. And here's the thing. I understand that it may play out on paper and everything. I just haven't seen it. And when I can't see it and I don't have anything to measure it against, and then you say that dosage is so high, then it makes me think, okay, now if I am in a situation like that, I can try those types of dosages and I can then have a better idea of whether there's an impact or not. Because I just
massive.
haven't seen much.
Yeah,
what about digestion? What are your dosing thoughts on? I hate to switch. Sorry, kind of switching and going down a rabbit hole here, but
That's all right.
The digestion part of it, as far as inflammation, and the reason I'm asking is because I'm looking at everything right now for distension and inflammation.
So for like my athletes that have distension issues, and I think is related to GI inflammation, we're doing 1 milligram a day. So, obviously it becomes cost prohibitive, right? Because a 10 milligram bottle, somewhere between $45 and $60. Well, you can't run that every single day. You might as well, it's too expensive, right? To do that year round. So
Yeah.
I think there's a difference between using for maintenance and using for to fix something, right? So I'm not advocating 10 milligrams a day year round or anything like that. I'm saying in that initial recovery phase, 10 milligrams a day of like TB and BPC each. And then for like digestion, and this is where you got to experiment between the oral and the injectable, and sometimes both, but I think a milligram a day when you're really trying to fix something digestive wise, that'd probably be a good question to ask Keith too, though, to see what his experience is with that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I found 1 milligram a day to be really good, and I'd always thought of that as being kind of higher, than what you'd hear it said. The only other person I've talked to that's talked about high dosing like that was Dave Crossland, and he was doing it with IV, with in the like medical setting, so he could run it that way. And I think he was doing 5 milligrams IV per day. Might have been higher than that though, but that's that's pretty freaking incredible. And I imagine IV, you're getting an even like a bigger boost or whatever. You know what I mean? A bigger peak.
You're getting a quicker peak for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you're putting it right to the source. You're putting it right into the systemic, system versus having to go through muscle or fat, having the capillaries have to pick it up and then bring it into the system. So, yeah.
Not that I would recommend people at home who are untrained. I can't get behind that.
Doing what?
Doing IV at home.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it's kind of like me recommending bloodletting with a coffee can off the side of your deck.
I remember that. I listened to that podcast.
I still have people who will comment on that every now and then. It's fun.
I used to IV like the GHRPs and ipramorelin.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, I wanted to cut down on the time. Remember how you took it and you had to wait a certain amount of time before you could eat?
Yeah.
The way my schedule was set up is like, I just don't have this time. So I've got 10 minutes. I don't have 30 minutes, And I remember one of my clients, I didn't lock the bathroom door at the gym. And he comes in and he's like, bro, what are you doing? And I'm like, it's not heroin, dude. I promise. It's not one of those it's not a rec drug. And he was like, what is that? And then he's like, I want some. I'm like, you don't want to get started down this rabbit hole, buddy.
Let me see what else we had here. I think we had like a couple more like cycle related questions, believe it or not. Let's see here. Have you ever had a client who was vegetarian or vegan prep for a show? I'm definitely neither, but I'm curious how difficult and different it was. This is from Colton over on Patreon. Thanks, Colton. And he does a bunch of our reels and stuff for us too. Great dude.
I strongly prefer that if clients are going to compete and they're vegan or they have some type of special diet, that they are very well versed and experienced with their situation.
Yeah.
Because those people are very good with the substitutions of the foods that they need. They know what they need. It's not as much of a trial and error type of thing. If they're new to it, there are times where I'll be like, I don't think I'm your guy. Not because I don't want to do it, but because I'm being fair. It's not in my wheelhouse, especially for a competition.
Yeah, I've had several athletes over the years. It's definitely not my forte or my preference. We developed like this seitan recipe that was very low carb, because the problem is trying to find protein sources that also don't combine carbohydrates or fats even. So for some of those stretches where you got to put someone on 0 carbs and 0 fats, it's kind of hard to do that. So a lot of plant-based protein drinks, a lot of seitan. Now I get along really well with the people that are like, I'm a vegan, but I do egg whites. Are we good?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
right.
1,000%.
We're good.
We can work.
We're good.
If someone were to reach out to me today and they're vegan, I would definitely pass them on to someone else. Though it's just there's a lot more time involved with doing all the macros and figuring all that kind of stuff out, and just not for me anymore.
And the macros too.
Oh, yeah.
I remember, and I'm with you guys. I wasn't sure what you guys were going to say, but I tell people like I don't think that I'm the right coach for you when they're vegan. And part of it is too, like, I don't want you to just be eating the same single protein source 5 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've had people who are like, hey, I hooked up with this coach. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, egg whites 5 times.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I remember working with this girl to help get her digestion on track. And she had been eating plenty of food, but she wasn't eating healthy, right? She wasn't eating like a good vegan diet. And she wasn't a competitor. She wasn't even really lifting consistently. It was a friend of a competitor that I worked with. And I helped her as a favor, and it ended up becoming this big hassle. And Victoria helped me help her. And we got a bunch of lab work done. And we basically, looking at her diet or looking at her lab work, she was in like a starvation state of malnutrition, even though she was holding a decent amount of body fat and eating a decent amount of food each day, just because she didn't have, like you were saying, Skip, didn't have that diet structured right, didn't know what she was doing with it. I think that if you don't know what you're doing as a vegetarian, and even more so as a vegan, I think that it's a very dangerous diet. It's a lot easier if you're going to just eat like meats, like normal people do. It's a lot easier to not be good at your diet and still skate by, versus you really need to know what you're doing if you're going to go that route. That's my thoughts.
Yep.
B vitamins, iron. I'm sure anemia is a major thing.
Yeah.
All
right. Let's see what else we had here. I thought that was one worth bringing up, which we don't really get that often. I don't think too many of our listeners are vegetarian, although I think we do have a few of them. I've got another thing too, when people are like, well, I'm vegetarian, but I like to run a gram of tren. I'm trying to make up for the fact that I'm not eating meat. I have met people like that.
Same here. That's actually kind of common with males that are vegan.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to prove it to the world. You know what I mean? Hey, Scott, love the show. Been watching all your content on the channel for the previous 12 months. This is Matt from Patreon, by the way. Thought this was let's see. Here's my question. I have a custom blend which consists of, per 1 ml, 10 milligrams of Superdrol, 20 milligrams of D-ball, 30 milligrams of Anadrol, 10 milligrams of Tesno ester, and 10 milligrams of Treno ester, all in 1 ml. He says, I have 3 vials, 30 ml. So about 30 shots worth. What's the best way to utilize this?
Get an attorney, because you're probably going to be served papers for divorce in the next 30 days. Your wife is not going to like that cycle, brah. I'm just telling you.
I mean, probably going to want to
add Halo to that.
Yeah. Add a check drop. I mean, it's obviously a pre-workout blend to help drive aggression, strength, and androgenicity. What's the best way to run it? I guess. What is your weakest body part that you need to bring up? I would maybe start there. Man, I don't know.
Yeah,
if you want to send it up to me to test out, I'll give you my answer in a month.
Yeah.
You know,
10 milligrams of Tesno ester. I don't feel like that's a lot. You know,
that's not much, but combined with
10 milligrams,
90
of
milligrams
ester.
of
yeah.
I mean, it's
30 Anadrol, 20 D-ball, 10 Superdrol. It's a combo.
Yeah.
I mean, be on your blood pressure meds.
Man.
You know,
it's like a powerlifting pre-workout.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, if you're trying to break through a strength plateau, that would be where these would come through. If you're a power lifter, probably those last 12 days, a couple cc's a day, and you're going to be feeling like Superman. You can run through a wall. I in terms of real bodybuilding, though, I don't know how much of a real application they have, like, long term,
Yeah, I would think maybe at, like you were saying, strength toward the end of a cycle, maybe you're already really strong. You're just trying to push for some additional strength infrequently, maybe 2 times, maybe 3 times a week over the course of 3 weeks, and then save the rest for another cycle.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. Pre-workout, maybe if it's an oil base, maybe an hour and a half pre-workout. But, I found with the injectable D-ball that I could definitely get going within 30 minutes. Usually it's always said, like, the injectable oil bases, orals, you want to wait like 2 hours. But I found, because, water base, like T&E, instant, like, within 30 minutes you're training. But I found the same is true with the oil-based D-ball. Like, get good pumps with that. So, yeah. See what else we have here. I think we had maybe one more question that had to do with a cycle or something. Yet sure does. Guys, leave us some more questions for the next show. Leave us some training questions for the next show. We'd like that. We had a lot of fun talking about training recently. Running my TRT cruise of 210 tests and 105 Deca. Plan on running a cycle of 600 tests, 300 Deca, 300 EQ in a few months. When the time comes to jump on the blast, does it make sense to keep the 105 Deca and make the difference up with NPP, or just go with more Deca? I like to overcomplicate things.
Yeah, like
That covers it.
Yep.
Maybe, like, you know, I would, if this was me and I was presented with these compounds, I would just get rid of the Deca and use NPP.
Yeah, I like that.
That's my answer. Yeah.
I wonder, what's his estrogen going to do with 300 test, 300 EQ? And then what's going to happen if he has low test and then jumps on a bunch of NPP, the same amount, 1 to 1 to 1? I'd just be curious. I'm not saying I'm not saying it's like a problem, but it could be. You know, you don't feel great after 5 weeks.
Yeah, but these
Do some
days
labs.
people run Deca 800 milligrams with no tests.
I
And
know.
They say they feel great, so you never know.
There is that.
I won't do it.
I mean,
I don't think any of you guys will do it.
Nope.
Somebody asked us about estrogen, like how much estrogen, or what type of estrogen should I take? What brand? I think they said, and it's not something I'm aware of, honestly.
What brand? I mean, I guess, yeah, I'm confused.
I can't remember the exact, but it was like they were looking for the specific estrogen.
If I want to raise someone's estrogen, I'll probably just throw 5 to 10 milligrams of mint in, like every other day, and that tends to do it pretty well.
That's not a bad idea. I was going to go the other route and just say that I just don't ever want to give any male estrogen. I just want to change your gear so that you have something that aromatizes. But that's not a bad idea. I would not have thought of the mint. That's a good call.
Yeah, I mean, both will get you to the same place, theoretically.
5D ball.
Or, yeah, 5D ball, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. All right. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate both of you guys hanging out and watching or recording the show with me. Andrew, I know you have a bunch of travels that are lined up, and man, this is a very busy time, I think, in the season for coaching, isn't it?
Dude, I've been to the gym myself twice in like 16 days.
Yeah. It gets like that, doesn't it?
I don't miss 90% of my client base being competitors. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't miss it. I still enjoy working with competitors, but not at that percentage, not at that ratio anymore. No.
I mean, I'm more or less not as many competitors as I used to, but I'm in a window right now, and I knew that from the beginning of the year. Like every week, I've got stuff going on now. It's but it's not all season for me, so I'm okay with that.
Well, I'm taking on new clients. I kept my client base at about roughly 60% from the beginning of the year because I knew I had two things that were going to be relatively time consuming: prep and the new show. So when I finally found that groove and it was getting closer to the show, I thought, okay, I'll probably announce that I'm going to take on more clients after the show. And been getting quite a bit of inquiries for the last month and a half I didn't even have to. I didn't really have to say anything. So primarily from the new show,
Okay.
if I'm being honest. And as we're seeing more growth there, a little bit from from competing because, you pick and choose the pictures that you're going to put out like everybody does, right? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, which is a weird thing to me. I never want clients to approach me because they've seen a picture. I want them to approach me because they know of me. They know of my reputation, things like that.
Yeah.
And but yet at the same time, I'm not turning them away either. So
Sure.
It is what it is. And so I didn't have to announce it after all, which is cool.
Mark says, I did a little D-ball when estrogen crashed with EQ once and was better in a day, literally. 10 milligrams of D-ball once a week is all he used.
Oh, just once a week.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, there you go. Hey, it might be worth somebody to give that a try, if they ended up in that situation, I suppose.
Can't help but think there was still a little bit of this going on.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Throughout the week. He probably felt better, and then he was like, okay, I feel better. But if it were maybe 3 times a week.
5 twice.
Yeah. Spread out a little bit, then it probably would have been a little bit more stable. But, he noticed the
50
difference.
every day. Guys, we appreciate you tuning in. In fact, I heard that Skip is taking new clients. You can go to teamskip.com to reach out to Skip. And he says once a day for a week.
There you go. I like that.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. And you can go to bodyberry.com to reach out to Andrew. Hit me up, mcnallydiets@gmail.com. And, of course, truenutrition.com. Use our code ThinkSupplementSource.ca for Canadians. Thank you to everybody from Patreon and for another episode of Blood, Sweat, and Gear. We will see you guys soon.